Okay. Got it. Welcome, everyone, to the very first of Orange Audubon's educational webinars. We have a monthly webinar, and this month of September of 2022, we are doing Exploring Nature with Our Feathered Friends in conjunction with the Cornell Lab of Ornithology K-12 education team. And I am a retired teacher. I taught middle school science in Orange County Public Schools for 35 years. I've also done summer camp as the nature coordinator. So I've worked with grades 3 through 6 there. And I've used these materials. So I can vouch that they're easy to use. You can apply them to whatever grade level you have, as you know, if you have a short amount of time or anything like that, you definitely you'll make good use of this. So I'm excited to present this to you. If at this time, if you could go ahead and mute your microphone, and we'll proceed through. And this is being recorded, so you can watch it later or share it with friends wherever they may be. So I'd like to start. Orange Audubon Society is in Central Florida, and our mission is to promote public understanding of and interest in wildlife and the environment that supports it. And OAS's education programs foster the recognition of tangible and intangible values in the remaining natural areas of Florida and the world, and our responsibility for the conservation of Earth's natural ecosystems and the services they provide for the health of our planet. So this is why Orange Audubon is doing these programs and why they hired me to be the education coordinator. And the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, which is in Ithaca, New York, I'm an ambassador for them. They can't be everywhere, so they depend on teachers all over the country. And their mission is to interpret and conserve the Earth's biological diversity through research, education, and citizen science focused on birds. And the K-12 mission at the Cornell Lab is to create innovative resources and training that builds science skills while inspiring young people to connect to local habitats, explore biodiversity, engage in citizen science projects. So it's not just about birds. You know, their main focus of study at the lab is mainly birds, but you can apply this to all kinds of types of science. And so it can be very inclusive of a lot of different things. And they have outstanding resources. Okay, when you check out their website, which I'll share with you later, there are several things that you can find there. There's curriculum, there's free curriculum, and then there's kits that you could purchase. And there's educator training. And I went in 2014 and had a blast. And they hold it in the summer, and they do have scholarships. So if this is like tweaking interest in you, you should definitely, you can sign up for their email updates, and you can find out when all that opens up for the scholarship. I recommend that. Okay, the lab's focus is to provide experiences for the children by first engaging them, giving a chance to explore, and then hope that will lead to them inquiring and opening up that whole scientific mindset. And from my experience, this is very, very effective. So why birds? If you want to chime in, you can. What do you think we choose birds to study? Anybody? Or you can type it in the chat.
I think because they're fun.
They are fun, for
Practice.
sure. Yes, they're definitely fun. Anybody else? Does this movie look familiar? All right. All right. Well, why birds?
Yep. Yeah. And Natalie said because there's different species.
Yes, different species for sure.
Claire says everyone can see them.
Yes. Yes.
And Dale says they're easy to study, to learn from, and they're everywhere.
Oh, you got it. So some people are bird blind. If you've not paid attention to them, you'll be like, well, there's no birds at my school. We won't see anything. How boring. But once you start looking, and your students especially, because you know, those young ones, their eyes, their ears are so observant. Once they decide they want to look for something, birds are everywhere. And there's definitely things you can do to even attract them to your school, which we'll get to in other webinars. But even if you don't have feeders or things out, you're going to find some birds every day, almost every day. So it's a great way to engage students into studying the natural world and thinking like a scientist. So let me introduce you to the Feathered Friends curriculum. And it's brought to you in partnership with Pennington, who they sell birdseed, which you can get at local stores. And the exciting thing is you can get a bird feeder after you're done with this presentation. So I'll tell you how you can do that, which is a lot of fun. So if you're permitted at your school, you can even have that on your window if it's appropriate and your school permits it. And that can be a lot of fun. All right, this is how Feathered Friends is structured. It's a whole year program, though you could split it up and do it however you want. And for every month, there's activities. There's a bird of the month. There's a literacy connection with a book recommendation. There's a section on how to engage your students about that topic, a section on what to do to get them to explore that topic, a section on how to get them to do some inquiry. There's like a do you know section, and there's home connection. So it's got everything. And you can mix and match too. So you can see the topics go from what makes a bird to who's that up in the sky and what's in a habitat, which I know most of you teach habitats in your curriculum. December is bird behavior. January is all about how, what birds eat, how do they eat, and that really gets into adaptations. February is all about citizen science, or now we call it community science. March is about flying and migration. April is about how can we help. May is about listening to birds, and June's about life cycles, nests and chicks. So you can see there's a great variety of material, but it's not overwhelming. Okay, this looks like a lot, it's really not. And let's get down to the next generation science standards. It's all here, and you can match up and you can see what, because we know that standards are important, and you can tie this in. So, perhaps you're doing habitat now, you could switch it around, and you can do this in whatever order that works for what you need to teach. Okay. So looking at what you're going to download, I'm just giving you a little sample of different months. I'm not going through the whole thing in order, but I want to just give you a little taste of it. You'll be inspired to go check it out for yourself. So this is January, about what do birds eat and how they eat. So the big idea, bird beaks come in different sizes and shapes, and each beak is specialized, and all about adaptations. And so you can see the learning objectives, and you can extend that if you have older students. You can trim it down if you have really young ones, because I know some people that signed up for this have very young students, and that's that right there. Okay, I absolutely love this. There's always a literacy connection, and you can go online and find these books, or maybe they're already at your school library, and you can see how you can connect this. And I can't speak enough about this, because I do school visits, and this is where I find a lot of the books and make the connections, and your students will just absolutely love these. And even the older kids, I'll do this with 5th and 6th grade, and they're good talking points. So here's an example. This is the one, I believe it's November, on habitat. So in this download that you get, you'll see here's how to engage. One way to engage students on habitat is, you have them think about what habitat is. You have them list what habitat is made out of. You kind of want to get them to that it's food, water, cover, space. And then, you kind of have them talk about what do different species need different habitats, and what happens if they don't get what they need. So that's just the engage part. And then for explore, this is where you could do a little mini field trip in your schoolyard. After you've talked about, the food, water, shelter, space, and maybe even, I'm going to kind of show you ahead on this, even have them have a little diagram where they just write food, cover, water, space, and other. I'm going to go back to this. Go outside and have them look quietly about what birds would use right there at your schoolyard. And think about, well, what's here? So they could draw, oh, they see some seeds, they see berries, they might see worms, they might see trees. For water, maybe there's a puddle, maybe it rained. If you're here in Florida, that's a lot. Space, they might see space up in the air or in the trees and other things that they need. So it gets them thinking about right where you are. And this might bring up, you can see how this could lead to, well, maybe we want to help the birds and maybe we can do things to create even a better habitat than's here. So this kind of all leads together to, expand the thinking. So for inquiry, you can think about, well, pollution. Well, here's something that can come into a habitat. How do you think it affects animals?
Mhm.
What can we do to keep habitats from being polluted? What can we do if they are polluted? And give them ideas on, okay, maybe there's some things we can do right here on our campus. Small things can add up. Here's the home connection for the habitat one. And this is something you get PDFs, and I'll show you where to find them, that if you want to print them out, or you can do it digitally, they would go home and they could think at home, what are some things we can reduce the use of? What are some things we can reuse? What are things that we recycle? So we give them tools so that it's not so overwhelming, like, oh, we can't do anything. Here's things we can do. And this is from the habitat one. So for each month, there will be a cool fact that's related. So here's the one that is for the, I believe it's March, for migration, and talking about, how birds cover thousands of miles. And, probably a lot of students don't realize that a lot of birds migrate twice a year, even now. So this is a topic you could even do right now, because we're in migration right now. Like last night, I think it was 200 and something thousand went over our county. There's a website you can go to and look at that. So pretty cool. That's a really engaging thing. So kids can be thinking, well, wow, we're out at recess. Maybe there's some birds migrating over. And it gets them really thinking about, well, where are they going? What are they going to find when they get there? It's pretty cool. All right, there's hands-on activities included for each topic. Some you could do in the classroom, some you could encourage them to do at home. So like here's one where they can recycle a soda bottle and make a feeder. It's pretty simple. And they might get really excited, and that's one way they could help the birds. All right, so if you download the lessons, which I'll show you how to get to them, you'll get an email from them when you download it. And if you want to, you can order one of these free window feeders. And the only thing I will let you know, there is a shipping fee. So, I'm not making money off of this. I'm just letting you know if that's something you want to do. It has to go to a school. If you are, just an interesting person like me, like I no longer have a school, I can't get one. That's okay. But it's a fun thing. And with the right place, like I have a window feeder on my window right now, and it's fun to see the birds. Now, yes, squirrels do come to it. That we'll get to that in the bird feeding webinar that we're going to do later this year. There's some things you can do. All right, so you might want to know, well, how do I get these resources? So, and Susan also, she will put this in the chat. The chat is on your toolbar, and she'll type this in here so you can get it. So it's www.birds.cornell.edu/K12 /. And when you go, it's a great website. So this is a rabbit hole, I'll warn you. Just look at it little pieces, because there's a lot of stuff here. Okay. And even, if you are, besides your own students, you are a parent, there's some fun things you could do with your own children that are great in here. So to find feathered friends, you go to the lessons and activities. Okay. That's where you're going to find it. And then you're going to see it has it broken down by age brackets. Feathered Friends is in 3 through 5, but obviously being resourceful teachers. If you teach pre-K, you can make this work. If you teach middle school like I did, you can make this work. You can bump it up. So even though it's in that age bracket, you can definitely adjust it, but that's where you'll find this one. And yes, there are other lessons for other ages that you can definitely check out in there. All right, when you go to this pull down menu and you click on it 3 to 5, you'll see some other things. There's the kits you can order, stuff like that. But go to the free downloads, and then, yes, there are other downloads too. And it's this one called Feathered Friends. And yeah, and once you download it, you'll see it'll tell you about the feeder. So you just download the lessons. And there's something I want to point out to you here, because you might not notice it, but underneath where you download it is all the online resources for the lessons. So the PDFs, there's a few slides in there. So you definitely want to check that out and look at it. So like in September, you click on this and everything that goes with the September lessons is there, including a PDF that you can print if you want to, or use it digitally, or however you want to do it. So that's all in there for every month. So this is like, if you went to September, this is like the beginning of the resources. So like they have a bird search PDF. They have pictures you can use for the inquiry part. It's all there. Okay.
Kathy, I have a question.
Sure.
Tara wants to know, can 2 teachers from one school get a feeder? There are 2 of us together on different grade levels.
Absolutely. That's a great, each of you needs to download it individually. I mean, the whole 2nd grade of a school can do it, but you have to download them individually. That's how you get the feeder. Okay. I mean, the whole school could do it if they wanted to. They don't mind. That this is what they do, is they want to support teachers in doing inquiry. So yes, as long as you download it yourself, you'll be able to get the feeder, but there is a shipping charge with that. Okay, so I know we went through this kind of fast, but that's okay. So any questions, you can either put it in the chat and Susan will read it, or you can just say it. And if you need me to go back to any of the slides, I'll be happy to. Right now, actually, I'll go here to the website. Okay, any questions right now?
Yes, I do have a question. I have 2, I think. The first one, like, is this like static, like lesson plan? Like,
Yeah.
so it just like it stays the same from year to year?
Well, they do update it. Cornell is really good about updating it. So I know when I originally was teaching this, that was probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
It was slightly different. So they modify it, but it's a download. So whatever you download, is static. But then if you went to look for it next year, they may have an updated version.
Okay.
Is that? Yeah.
And the next one, are the birds specific for like a region? Because like in Florida, like we have different
Exactly.
species.
They are not specific. They try to pick birds that are found in a lot of places, but there will be some, like I believe one of them is a dark-eyed junco, which is really not found in Florida. But overall, most of them, like if you saw in this picture here, chickadee, finch, downy woodpecker, those are pretty common. I think they use mourning dove. Most of them are pretty general that would be found in a lot of the United States. So that's a great question.
Yeah, because like I'm not like an expert in birds. Well, like I can't distinguish which birds are native, which birds are like migrated from
Oh, that's very
other areas.
normal. Oh yes, no, that's normal. And we actually are going to do later in the year, we're going to do one on bird ID and counting birds. So we will help, and there's some great tools that you can have on your phone that help you identify birds. So, and don't be afraid, you will learn with your kids. You don't have to know what they are. They'll help you figure it out together, and it's fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to come over here. If anyone thinks of a question, just put it in the chat. So let me give you a sneak peek of the next webinar, which will be on Audubon Adventures, which there's a website that has a lot of really good digital free resources that won't cost you anything. And it is going to cover a variety of topics, not just birds. And then there are print resources too. And those of you in Orange County, you'll learn how you can get, we have a limited number of free subscriptions that we're sponsoring. And if you're not in Orange County, I'll show you how you can reach out to your local Audubon and maybe get sponsored. Okay, so that's next month. That's October 5th. And here's my email. If you'd like to, if you have any questions, again, if you're in Orange County, I do visits locally. You can reach out to me for that. Or if your school is doing like a STEM night or science night, you can reach out to me for that. If you are some of our friends joining from other parts of Florida and you're part of the Everglades champion schools, and you need to have like a virtual guest, I can help you with that too. So I know we have lots of you signed up from South Florida and West Florida, so that's awesome. So any last minute questions? And Susan, you can stop the recording. Check the chat. Here we go.